What's going on, everybody? Jeff Holiday here, and I am back from VidCon, and I had a wonderful time. Me and Memory both went down, saw lots of our old friends, partied. There was no drama, no nothing, just it was perfect. Now I'm back now. Unfortunately, my ear is still acting up quite a bit, but it's better. Taking flights definitely did not help, I'll tell you that much. But I was thinking about it when I was coming back, and one of my favorite conversations that I had while I was down in Anaheim was with Hi, I Think I'm Real. And if you're not familiar with this channel, you should go check it out. It does mostly politics and whatnot, and he's insightful, intelligent, and I just really like the sound of his voice. But we got to talking about the broader scope of things when it comes to politics, because I gave up talking about politics for the most part on this channel. I like science. That's where my heart's at. One of the reasons why science is so much more important to me than politics is because of a value that I hold that supersedes it 100%. And that is one of the core values in my being is I am a futurist. My eye is on the future. That's what I care about. I care about the future, and the future for everybody. And I don't just mean, what's going to happen next year? You don't know with these foreign aid policies or the budget. And no. I don't care. I never really cared that much. There's a tertiary kind of like, meh. But it's a distraction from the things that I really, really care about. I care about the future. I care about where we go as a species. How we improve and how we build and develop ourselves and our minds and our capacity for growth. These are the things that I'm the most interested in. So I just wanted to talk a little bit today, really quick, not anything too long, because I I need to be focusing on like the Vaxxed series and a bunch of the other things. Now that I'm feeling better and I can put the work into them, I just wanted to have a quick little video where I talk about the future. Now, a lot of people don't understand, or at least they don't really appreciate where we come from as a species. We, for the longest time, did not develop, did not grow. We did not produce things of consequence until the agricultural revolution, which it's estimated around 10,000 BC, so about 12,000 years ago, figured out how to farm. So you have this species of animal that for the entirety of its existence has been wholly consumed with making sure they can eat, have shelter, protection from predators, and just like every other animal out there. But suddenly, with the agricultural revolution, with the ability to farm, now you have time. And that's one of the most valuable resources for any type of organism, is time to not have to be wholly consumed by the things that are necessary for survival. Because when you have time to think. So what comes out of that? Well, civilization comes out of it. Civilization blossoms because we have the ability to stay in one place. We have the ability to think of complex developments. We have the ability to develop our language. And as we begin to innovate, because we have that time to think, to invent, to create, suddenly we're developing engineering. We're developing our understandings of astronomy. Beautiful things start to come about because we start to develop art. Mozart, Shakespeare, Monet. These are only possible because we, as an animal species, no longer had to worry every moment of every day on how to stay alive. Instead, we had the time to think about what if, to imagine. And that was a turning point, especially in the story of the human race. At this day, right now, where you're watching this video, when I'm recording it, this is the greatest moment in history, right now. Today is one of the greatest days that has ever existed in the history of anything. We, even just globally as a species, we live longer than we ever have before. We have access to broader technology. We have access to cleaner sanitation and food, hopefully. There are still some people who unfortunately do not have those, but the majority, at least, have these things. And we've never been here before. We have a global information network where we can exchange the wealth of our entire history and understanding of anything freely, as long as you have an internet connection. And this has never happened before. This has never happened before. And that's really important to not forget that. This has never happened before. We have no idea what's coming or what's happening even right now because it's so out of control and new and innovative. And for some people, that can be kind of scary. And I understand that. Political schools of thought, from progressivism to conservatism, traditionalism, etc., a lot of these tend to get very mired into trying to make sense of the world right now compared to how we understood it before. And that's fine for an anthropological study, but at the same time, it's kind of, I wouldn't say it's pointless, but because you can definitely learn from the past, but with how everything always changes, everything always innovates and develops differently, it's really impossible to get a really accurate idea of what's coming next. So that's really what I want to talk about, and that's really where my head's at. I'm interested in the future because, like it or not, the future's going to happen whether you protest against it. You know, whether you rally against the idea that we're going to have artificial intelligence and it could mean the extinction of our species. Well, I don't think you have much choice. I'm pretty sure it's going to happen, and I know yet again that can be very scary for some people, but if there's one overwhelming drive that can even surpass humans' ability to destroy themselves, it's their drive to push the boundaries and to innovate and to be creative. There is an overwhelming underlying human spirit, and it has always driven us forward. Always. So what is coming next in the future? How do we allow for more time? I mean, because really, that's a big question there, isn't it? You know, we may have had agricultural revolution, people could start to think, but then factorization comes in, and now we have even more time collectively as people, more time. We have access to better healthcare, so we live longer, so we have, again, more time. That's really the currency that's paying the way for the future is time, is the capacity for us to dream. And as this develops, you know, we get to, maybe we're getting to a soft limit. I don't really think so, but maybe we're getting a little bit to a soft limit because we're seeing these blocks ahead of us, these rules of physics, these rules of quantum mathematics. We're seeing these limits of whether or not we'll ever have the ability to travel interstellarly far enough or fast enough to really discover enough new worlds for us to really fulfill us. So maybe there are blocks ahead, but I'd say they're speed bumps, not really blocks, because we're a crafty animal, a very crafty animal, and we're on the verge of giving birth to real, true artificial intelligence. And when that happens, well, then we're not just one clever animal. Now we're a clever animal with effectively what will be our children, our legacy, our artificial life that we create that helps to process what comes next, what happens next in the future. There's a philosophical concept called the singularity, and the singularity is largely a turning point in the human story where our development of artificial intelligence marks the creation of something that can think even better than us, that takes us on a roller coaster ride, because we have this exponentially growing ladder of technology. Okay? It wasn't that long ago that we developed the television. Not in the story of the human species. It was a blink of an eye, suddenly we had the television. From the television, we start developing even further machines, our cordless phones. We start developing better automobiles. Suddenly we have the internet. And now with the internet, we have virtual reality. These things are growing faster and faster. In the span of time it takes for the next big iteration of development and an invention shrinks every single time. So what happens when we do achieve artificial intelligence and suddenly our technology allows itself to innovate faster than we even could before? How fast do we grow? Are we prepared for it? Can we handle the speed in which everything that we know will change? And that is why the singularity is not really necessarily touted always as a beneficial thing, but sometimes as a horrifying concept for people to wrap their heads around. But, again, the question is, can you really stop it? And I don't think you can. Short of global thermonuclear war, the singularity is very nigh. Now, I don't want to leave it on some doom and gloom or anything. I want to share with you something, amazing, absolutely amazing. Because I do keep up with like the latest technology, especially biomedical research. I, not for no short reason than, there's a very real chance that I someday will develop Alzheimer's, so I'm keeping my eye on that. But one of the main things in biomedical research that people have been wanting to figure out a way is called cellular reprogramming, because we have a problem. Our human bodies have a very real problem. There are lots of cells in our body that will not replace themselves. Most of the cells in our body have effectively what's called, it's not called this, but it's a clever way of describing that, suicide triggers, that the cell can only replicate so many times before it just won't. And you have one less cell in your body. Ever wonder why old people shrink? It's because there's less of them. But that's a really weird way to put it. But it's pretty accurate. But especially brain damage. When you have brain damage, there's only one specific place inside of the human brain that perpetually makes more neurons, and it's related to our memory. But as far as our prefrontal cortex, the thing that allows us to have our empathy and our imagination, our ability to have our the collectedness of our personality, if you destroy a bunch of that piece of your brain, it never grows back. So how do we fix that? What happens if you get your arm cut off? Well, we know how to heal the wound. Our body can heal the wound, but our body can't grow a new arm. So cellular reprogramming was this idea that we've had a lot of success with it. The idea was that we could take stem cells, and this is where the stem cell debate comes from, and with a stem cell you can effectively reprogram it to a new type of cell. Well, it's a lengthy procedure, it's expensive, and there's not really a whole lot of it. However, there's a new innovation called transdifferentiation. Yeah, no, I did read that right. I wasn't sure. And one of the amazing things about this is very, very simple. And it happens naturally in some animals. This is pretty funny. Happens naturally in some animals. The nematode, for example, have cells in their rectum that sometimes transform into brain cells. Their butt cells can turn into brain cells. But it offers a new route to regeneration for us as humans, because effectively we can coax without having to take a cell into a stem cell and then into a new type of cell. It involves finding triggers that erase a cell's identity, giving it another, and this can be done with basically very small chemical actors. They hit transcription factors, and we could take something as simple as a skin cell and you could turn it into a brain cell. That very, very carefully we could take cells that shed, cells that just naturally come off of our body, cells that do regenerate and shed off of us, that we don't run out of. And we can take those and turn them into something that we need. Now, if this ends up being possible on a grander scale, then this is the tipping balance for mortality. This is the tipping balance for degenerative brain disease, for so many ills that the human animal experiences. How long will we live? How far into the future will we personally get to see when suddenly we no longer have to worry about the slow cellular suicide program death of our own bodies? What wonders will we be able to live and experience that we never imagined before? To me, these are the types of things that I occupy my time with when I'm not working on this, or when I'm not trying to avoid politics, because I find them inane in the grander scheme of things. This is why when I think about politics, my first and foremost concern is, how is this going to keep our species alive? How is this going to allow us to achieve these next things so we can see the wonders of the universe unfold in front of us? That's what I care about. That's what's most important to me. So, yeah, I like the future. Anyway, thank you very much for indulging me in this mild, mostly stream of consciousness little diatribe about futurism and what I feel I'm very passionate about. And another reason why I'd really like to go back to school someday. And yeah, other than that, I think I'm mostly going to go back and be working on Vaxxed. A bunch of other like back-end work that I have to do on several of my channels. But otherwise, I will see you guys soon. Thank you so much for your attention. I hope you and your family are well. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.